Aloha everyone, we're opening up our 2 p.m. Thursday, March 5th, 2026 agenda in conference room 308, it's the House Committee on Finance. We have some bills on the agenda. If you are on Zoom, try your best to stay muted unless called upon. We'll be sticking to a 2-minute time limit for individual testifiers to provide everyone an equal opportunity to speak. And we would note that the deadline for us to file legislation is tomorrow. So as best as we can, if we could try and rein it in a little bit, by all means, exercise your First Amendment right, but it will make it harder on our staff. So when possible, we'll try to constrain it a little bit today. Okay, we're going to open up with HB1977 HD1 relating to health.
Okay, we have the Department of Health with comments on Zoom.
Good afternoon. My name is Matt Shim. I'm Chief of the Family Health Services Division. We will stand on our testimony providing comments, and I'm available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Hawaii State Commission on the Status of Women in support.
The Commission stands on its written testimony in support of this measure and appreciates the committee's consideration and support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's everyone who indicated they'd be joining us. Additional testimony and support from one organization. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Anybody on Zoom?
Members, questions on this measure? Seeing none, we're going to move on to our next bill, HB1764 HD1 relating to music accessibility pilot program.
We have the Hawaii State Public Library System in support.
Mallory Fujitani for the Public Library System, standing on our written support. Thank you.
Thank you. We have the Hawaii Symphony Orchestra in support.
I'm Amy Iwano, President and CEO of the Hawaii Symphony Orchestra. Books and knowledge feed our mind, and music feeds our soul. Thank you for your consideration of this bill.
Thank you. Hawaii Youth Symphony in support.
Aloha. I'm Randy Wall, I'm President and CEO of Hawaii Youth Symphony. I just wanted to say thank you for considering this because both the libraries and the Hawaii Symphony are just incredible resources for our youth. In addition to what we submitted in testimony, we would be more than happy to provide any support or resources to the Hawaii Symphony Orchestra since HYS has already been performing in libraries. And we think this is a great project, not a pilot. Definitely go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. That is everybody who indicated they would be joining us today, and additional testimony and support from the State Foundation on Culture and the Arts, 4 organizations and 83 individuals. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Anybody on Zoom?
Seeing none, HB1934. Oh, actually, members, questions?
I'm sorry, Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
One quick question
No, go ahead.
for Hawaii State Library System. I'm excited about this bill, and if it gets passed, I just want to know where do you envision the public concerts occurring?
So I think we would have to figure out which locations. We do have community meeting rooms at most of our libraries, but not every library. And so we would need to work with the symphony folks to partner and figure out where they would like to go, where they have members that will perform. I think it's a collaboration.
All right, thank you so much. That's it, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? If not, moving on to HB1934 HD1 relating to libraries.
Hawaii State Public Library System in support.
Mallory Fujitani for the State Library System, standing on our written comments in support.
Thank you. Friends of the Library of Hawaii in support.
I know I'm out from Friends of the Library of Hawaii. We stand on our written testimony in support. Thanks.
Thank you. That's everyone who indicated they would be joining us. Additional testimony and support from 2 organizations and 15 individuals. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Please, just state your name for the record and proceed.
Chair, Vice Chair, my name is Sergio Altavilla. I'm here in a official capacity, and I just want to provide my testimony and support. As a parent to 2 young children, this was one of the things that we struggled with every day was taking our kids off the devices and telling them to read a book, and one of the things they would tell me is they don't have a book. So I hope that this bill is something that can address that, and really appreciate the opportunity to testify. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room? Anybody on Zoom wishing to testify?
We have
Okay,
Yes,
please just state your name for the record and then you may proceed.
Hello, everybody. My name is Scott Herrick. I'm the State Relations Director for the U.S. for Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. And I would just like to thank everybody and voice my strong support for HB1934, which would establish the Imagination Library program in Hawaii. Our mission is to inspire lifelong love of reading, and so we provide a high-quality, age-appropriate book to all children from birth to 5, and it's regardless of family income. And since its inception, we've gifted over 300 million books globally, and now in the United States, 1 in 6 children in that age range of 0 to 5 receive a book from us across the country. We believe that we are a very cost-effective way to get ready for kindergarten, and we are very scalable, and I think it's probably one of the best programs children can access to go to school with a prepared foundation for literacy. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on Zoom?
Members, questions on this measure? Go ahead.
I have a question again for Hawaii State Library System. Thank you. You know, I appreciate the services that the library provides. And if this bill passes, would it be possible to make sure that we have local artists, local authors and their books offered as a priority, or is it pretty
I think I'll defer to.
I can-
I know Amal from the Friends of the Library. We help run the program, the existing program.
We run the existing program, and so it's a set book list that the Dolly Parton Imagination Library provides for all affiliates. So it's there. We could discuss with the foundation whether they could add local authors, but I believe that their setup is to provide the same book across their entire.
Okay, all right. Well, if that's something you could discuss and consider, I believe that would be a benefit to the children in our state. Mahalo.
I can, if it's all right, I can speak to that a little bit as an employee of the Dollywood Foundation. We have a blue ribbon.
Your call.
You need to ask him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll ask you the same question, the testifier on Zoom. So go ahead and you can answer.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. We have a blue ribbon book selection committee that meets in Tennessee at the headquarters of the Dollywood Foundation, and they meet yearly. And people can submit their book for consideration, and often in areas like Hawaii, which have specific needs for their children, we can definitely work with you all to try to integrate selections and topics and books that would be I think just well received in your area. So I can talk to the people within the Dollywood Foundation and make that urgent request.
All right. And thank you. We're trying to increase literacy, especially for our Native Hawaiian families. And so if we had books in Olelo, it would be a plus. So thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. Additional questions? Nope. Okay, moving on to HB2533 HD1 relating to education.
Have the Department of Education with comments.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Sean Bacon on behalf of the department. We stand on our written testimony offering comments and available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. That's everyone who indicated they would be joining us today. Additional testimony in support from 3 organizations and 15 individuals. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Anybody on Zoom?
Members, questions? No. Moving on to HB. Oh, go ahead, Ray. Go ahead, Ray.
Department. Thank you for coming. For your testimony, it says that, sorry, let me take that back. So this is amending HRS 302A 630 with 2 paragraphs completely excised from the next statute, 631. So that affects teachers in this bill, but pulling it from the principals and vice principals in the next statute. Exactly the same. So do you guys, are vice principals and principals part of a collective bargaining unit?
Yes, but they are part of bargaining unit 6.
Okay,
Under
so
HGP.
So since you do not support compensation put into law, do you also not support the exact same compensation given to principals and vice principals in 302A-631? Like, should we remove their compensation too to make it equal?
I would need to go back and look at 302A-631. I don't have that in front of me. But you know, we support compensation for all of our employees. And you know, we would just say that any type of additional duties that teachers are doing, you know, we would recommend it be subject to collective bargaining. Like currently, right now in the collective bargaining agreement for teachers, if they are doing additional duties such as grade level chairperson, choral band director, those sorts of things, those have all been negotiated as supplementary pay for teachers right now. So we would recommend that it go through the collective bargaining process.
Okay, but for principals and vice principals or educational officers, they are in statute to say that they can get paid these things, not teachers. So what do they get paid for?
Well, principals and vice principals right now, they are paid based on the level of the school that they're at. Each of the, you know, principal, high school principal, elementary principal, it's all really been determined on the student enrollment at the school and determine the level of where they're placed on the salary schedule.
Okay, because in 302A-631 it says educational officers with special assignments at the state, district, and school level where their duties and responsibilities are greater than the duties and responsibilities falling within the scope of their ordinary duties shall be provided additional benefits. So what are those additional benefits and to who are they provided? Like what duties do you have to
I'd
know?
have to go back, I don't have 302A-631 in front of me, I'd have to go back and look at that and get that answer.
Okay, so could you tell me that? And then also for the last paragraph of the bill, it's also excised from the next statute, exactly word for word, except changing it from principals, vice principals, and EOs to teachers. But for that, it talks about how principals and vice principals at special needs schools are provided additional benefits, and it gives definitions of special needs schools. Can you tell me about the additional benefits that the principals and vice principals are getting per 302A-631 for special schools?
Again, I would need to go back and look at that for 631. I know that we do have two special needs schools, our Hawaii School for the Deaf and the Blind, and then also Olomana School. But those principals are also, it's based on the enrollment of the school and the level of how that they are paid at this point.
Okay, because special schools by statute is defined as schools that have a relatively large proportion of students exhibiting low performance, as indicated by such factors such as low standardized achievement test scores, a high retention rate, and a low graduation rate for the area. I think, do you agree that there are schools that could fit in that definition that are outside of Olomana and the Hawaii School for Deaf and Blind?
There may be, yes.
Okay, so could you get that to us too?
I can look into that information and get that back to your representative.
Thank you. And then lastly, who is supposed to be advocating for teachers regarding their pay or things like, I think a day ago we talked about getting paid for clubs, you know, that have to be done. Who should be advocating for teachers for pay for that? For additional pay for additional duties?
I think, you know, it was talked about in a previous hearing regarding that, you know, regarding different clubs and things, money is allocated to the schools and it really is determined by a principal. How the money is allocated, there are different types of funding sources, and based on those funding sources, there may be special needs and how, or special requirements on how those funds are used.
Okay, but who should be advocating for that? Should that be the department to tell the principals, or where should the advocacy come from to make sure that teachers are paid for duties outside of the scope of their normal job?
I think again, each school has their own individual, and their communities have their own individual and unique needs. Weighted student formula money does come down to each school. There are also special funds for each school. The school does have a school community council. Based on the school community council, they can help to determine how some of the funding is spent, you know, and what are the needs of each individual school.
Okay, so there is compensation that goes to teachers that are outside of collective bargaining then?
So there are Yes, we do have some of our casual employees, they are paid outside of the collective bargaining, they're paid, as our part-time teachers or paraprofessional tutors. That, there are different ways that individuals outside of their normal collective bargaining time can be paid, but that really is a school level decision that can be made based on funding and the way that some of the funding can be used.
Okay, so a full-time Unit 5 teacher who's paid who's a regular teacher can also be paid in a different capacity. Meaning outside of their full-time teaching capacity, you would also classify them as a part-time teacher for payment for other items.
Correct. So they could work their full 7-hour day as a salary teacher, and depending on the needs of the school, there could be after-school clubs, after-school part-time tutoring, and there could be opportunities for them to receive additional compensation outside of their normal salary contract.
So is that collective bargain?
That is not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Additional questions?
Hi, I'm late. Can I still speak on 2533?
Right.
Sorry, I'm a public school teacher and I just got out of an IEP.
Yeah, we're good. We need a member to ask a question though, as the time for testimony has passed. Members, you got a question? Anyone got a question?
Sure.
Yeah, there you go. Go for it. Yeah, go do your thing.
Is there something you would like to tell the committee?
Skillfully done.
Hi, I'm Chris Castillo. I guess technically I'm not really testifying, but I'm answering the question. I'm a public school teacher on the coast, and I teach in one of those EOEL preschool classrooms. And when we talk about like extra duties, like especially for the youngest learners, like I'm kind of upset that I have to be here to make this testimony rather than my union standing up for me. But when we talk about those extra duties, and I heard the last guy talk about like clubs and stuff, rather than prepping and planning for tomorrow, I'm disinfecting toys, wiping up things, repackaging pull-ups, and making sure that I have sanitizing materials for my kids. And if I'm not mistaken, that's janitorial duties and not mine within the scopes of a DOE teacher. I know it is in the scopes of that's what happened with early childhood care, but it's outside of what the DOE teacher is supposed to be doing. And I used to teach 6th grade. And so I think that when we look at it, like this bill should be there to compensate us for all the extra duties. Like I can talk about it from the sped side who are spending hours and countless hours outside of their times and days, as well as me, myself in the preschool world who is trying to reorganize my room after the hurricane of sick kids and consistently disinfecting, right? Like it takes hours. Like I don't leave here until like 4:00. And what contractually is what, 7:45 to 2:45? And if we can give a pay raise to the superintendent, but also like pay people within their districts based upon their school and population, we should also be able to pay the people who have those extra duties the same amount, or if not, compensation for what they do within their spaces. Thank you.
Can I ask another question?
By all means.
Sorry, Mr. Bacon, if you can do round 2 with me, thank you. The bill also talks about changing the term for Hawaiian immersion from may be paid to shall be paid. Right now, the Hawaiian immersion teachers are considered a differential pay.
That's correct.
Can you tell me if that differential pay is collectively bargained and in the contract?
So currently, right now, that additional pay is a differential that has been paid out. We worked closely with the Hawaii Teacher Standards Board on a criteria, and then we went to the Board of Education, and the board approved it, and then the legislature helped to fund those differentials.
Okay, and that differential is paid for a teacher during their normal duties as a full-time teacher?
That is correct.
So there is the ability to pay teachers compensation during the workday in their full-time capacity outside of collective bargaining and outside of their contract? Because this, what you're telling me is outside of the contract.
If it was funded through statute or through law, we would follow the statute and we would pay the additional amount as required. But the department really, Chapter 89 really talks about wages, and it should be negotiated, and that is the avenue that
we would recommend that these types of compensation be addressed through.
So that differential at one point was a MOU in the contract and it isn't now, right?
For the
differentials.
So there was differentials for the hard to staff locations that was part of the contract, and we've expanded on that through the differentials, yes.
But not in the contract. That's outside of the contract and outside of collective bargaining to pay the teachers.
For the differentials that we currently have, so there's a set of differentials that are in the contract. We've expanded on that beyond that. That is outside of the contract, but we have worked with the union, and then we brought it to the Board of Education for the final approval, which then also the legislature, like I said, helped to fund that.
Okay, so if legislature funds things, we can fund things that are not in the contract for pay. Because this, what
So
you
if
said
there
just
was,
proves
if
that.
there was something that was put into statute, the department would comply with the statute and would pay with the intent of what the legislature says.
Okay, so we're allowed to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, moving on to HB1790 HD2 relating to policing.
We have the Honolulu Police Department in opposition on Zoom.
I'm actually present. The Honolulu Police Department stands on its written testimony.
Thank you.
In opposition, sorry.
Okay, we have ACLU of Hawaii in support.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, committee members. My name is Josh Frost. I'm a policy advocate at the ACLU of Hawaii, and we are in support of this bill. You have our testimony, so I won't regurgitate it for you, but I just wanted to comment. The police do a lot of important work for the community, and we feel that part of their responsibility to the public is to be transparent and open to on the work that they do. So this bill would help that by creating systems that collect data, right? Right now, the state is not very good at collecting policing data. Good data leads to good decision making. Good data leads to good policy making. We feel this bill is long overdue, and we are in support. So we appreciate your consideration. Wow.
Thank you. We have Hawaii Crime Lab in support.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. I'm Dr. Ashley Rubin of the Hawaii Crime Lab. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I have submitted written testimony in support of HB 1790, but I have a few points to add. I wanted to address some ongoing confusion about funding constraints. The federal funds this bill would allow us to apply for, a Section 1906 grant, would fund the training and technology needed to implement the new data collection system. I would work directly with law enforcement agencies under the Hawaii Crime Lab to design that system, specifically the data collection process to ensure data collected are as reliable as can be, and that the data collection process is as seamless as possible for law enforcement officers. In doing so, I'd be following the well-established model used in Connecticut as described in Dr. Ken Barone's written testimony from the University of Connecticut. I also wanted to emphasize that collecting the data required in this bill should not measurably prolong encounters. As noted in Dr. Barone's written testimony, stop data collected in Connecticut typically takes less than 1 minute per stop. They're able to do this because nearly all of the information can be input after the incident has been terminated. Finally, there's also concern about officers reporting perceived race or ethnicity. The text of the revised bill says that self-identified race or ethnicity should be sought whenever possible, but the revised bill inadvertently left the word perceived in before the demographic categories listed. So I refer you to the Police and Project's written testimony. They suggest a technical amendment removing perceived to make clear that just like with arrests, officers should ask for voluntarily disclosed demographic information. This should address law enforcement and advocacy groups' concerns about requiring self-identified, not perceived race whenever possible. So thank you very much. I'm available for questions.
Thank you. That is everyone who indicated they would be joining us today. Additional testimony from the Office of the Public Defender in support, Office of Hawaiian Affairs in support, comments from the University of Hawaii, opposition from the Kauai Police Department and the Maui Police Department, as well as testimony in support from 5 additional organizations and 1 organization providing comments. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Anybody on Zoom?
Members, questions? If not, HB2181 HD1 relating to the judiciary.
Okay, we have the judiciary with comments.
Good afternoon. Dina Nakasata on behalf of the Hawaii State Judiciary, ITSD Applications Division. We stand on our written testimony. Thank you for the opportunity to comment, and I'll stand by if you have any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation and Support.
Hi, aloha. I'm on Zoom. Hi, sorry. Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Kelsey Makaike. I'm the Acting Division Administrator for the Intake Service Centers, and I'm testifying today on behalf of Tommy Johnson, who's unable to be here today. The Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation stands by our written testimony supporting the intent of this bill, and I appreciate the time and opportunity to testify. I'll be standing by for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Community Alliance on Prisons and Support.
Aloha, Kat Brady Aloha Committee. Kat Brady is testifying on behalf of Community Alliance on Prisons in strong support of this measure. So many of our families are really struggling. So I cited the Alice report from 2024 that's asset limited, income constrained and employed. And a lot of the warrants are for traffic violations. So I'm asking that the committee support this bill and give grace to people who are struggling to meet everyday needs. Thank you so much.
That's everyone who indicated they would be joining us today. Additional testimony, 1 organization providing comments, 3 organizations, and 6 individuals in support. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Anybody on Zoom?
Okay. Members, questions on this measure? For Partsville?
Hi, thank you, Chair. For the judiciary. Hi, thank you for your testimony.
Yes.
Your testimony or the judiciary's testimony noted that there is a current notification program.
Yes.
Where participants can do so voluntarily.
Correct.
And I was wondering if there's any data to demonstrate the effectiveness of that program in terms of decreasing the number of non-appearances in court.
Okay. Let me just clarify real quick. We do have an opt-in e-reminder system that we actually launched back in January 2019, and that has been in place for several years now. Unfortunately, it is very challenging for us to be able to get data points on whether or not we're having any non-appearance changes in those rates as a result of that. I also have Deputy Chief Court Administrator Michelle Acosta on Zoom. She is our operational resource, and so I'm not sure if Michelle wants to weigh in on the question regarding the non-appearance rates.
No, it's okay. If you have that information, you can provide it to the committee later. My follow-up question is, because it's an opt-in,
yes.
What would you say is the rate of people opting in?
I don't have that information. We pulled some statistical information, and for all of our court case events or appearances in 2025, we had approximately 400,000 events. And so we don't have the information right now on how many of those events actually triggered a text or email reminder. Because it's an opt-in system, we also allow non-parties to the case to opt in. So for example, reporters, media, interested family members, they can go ahead and opt in to subscribe to get messages about a particular case or event. It doesn't have to be someone actually a part of the case. So right now, we don't have that kind of information, but we can see if we can pull some of that for you.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm curious, if this pilot does occur, how many, I mean, it seems like it's gonna be a voluminous amount of notices that will be sent out electronically.
It can be. Right now for our e-reminder system, we send 3 reminders ahead of time and also the morning of the event. So depending on the frequency of the reminder, that's one aspect. The number of people on that case, that's another one. And then of course the length of the message. Right now we aren't able to include all of the verbiage in a single segment for the text message, and we have to segment that out into 2 or 3 segments. So if the verbiage is very voluminous, we could be looking at 5 or 6 segments per message, per reminder, and each one incurs a cost. So right now, we're trying to see what the recurring costs would be. We work with a vendor called Twilio. They help us with the text messaging, and they also have an email system, which also has a cost. So not only would there be some software change costs to our current system if it were to become mandatory opt-out rather than the current opt-in, which is voluntary, we would also be looking at recurring costs based on the number of text messages and emails.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Additional questions for President?
Yes.
She talked about, I think you were just questioned about the cost of sending these. But if I can ask it the other way.
Okay.
What is the cost of failure to appears?
Thank you for the question. That cost, I really don't have data on that in terms of consequences for that particular person. That I don't have that information.
So if somebody has a failure to appear and they get a bench warrant, whether it's $50 or whatever the dollar amount, and they get retaken, can you explain to us what happens in a failure to appear when somebody gets a bench warrant?
I may have to ask Michelle Acosta, our Deputy Chief Court Administrator, to weigh in a little bit more on that. That's more on the operational side. I'm on the IT side. I believe Michelle Acosta is on the Zoom.
Good afternoon, everybody. Michelle Acosta. I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear all of the question. Could I get that one more time, please?
Sure, sorry, the mic doesn't pick me up well. Do you happen to know how much a failure to appear is? And when somebody, and can you tell us what happens in a failure to appear? Meaning like they get a bench warrant and what would happen after that?
Thank you. So for the first part of the question, I'm not sure what the cost is for a failure to appear. However, for the process, if a person is cited, for example, and they are summoned to come to court, and they don't come to court, the court may issue a bench warrant. It could, like you stated, I think I heard you say anywhere from $10 to $5. The defendant who has been summoned can either pay the bench warrant to have that removed, so $5, $10. They would then be provided with another hearing date. So that's the process in terms of that. If the bench warrant is not taken care of, there is a warrant for their arrest. So for example, if a person was then who had a bench warrant for failure to appear, jaywalks, for example, they could be arrested because of an outstanding bench warrant.
In the last judiciary hearing, I think Chair Tornes said the participation rate for the opt-in was 3%. Do you happen to know if that's a correct number, or you're not sure today? Sorry, I think I have to talk this way.
I'm sorry, I don't know about that that particular data point.
So I think I was at the last hearing when the question from Representative Tarnas was posed. Because the process right now is an opt-in, so it's a voluntary participation in the system, the data that I had shared at that hearing with Representative Tarnas showed that there was a low percentage rate of people currently participating. So because it's an opt-in, people voluntarily opting in, based on the data that was presented at the hearing, it does show a low percentage of participation.
Additional questions?
I don't think so right now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We're on to HB1870 HD2 relating to protected community locations.
Department of Education with comments.
Good afternoon, Chair Todd, Vice Chair Takenouchi, members of the committee. Sean Tajima, Assistant Superintendent, testifying on behalf of the Department of Education. The department stands on its written testimony which provides comments on this measure. This issue is very important to the department, and because of its importance, the department rolled out guidance on this in March of 2025. The guidance covers all law enforcement coming onto campus, not limited to immigration enforcement. We're currently in the process of adding to that guidance to provide procedures for staff and students to follow if they see law enforcement enter campus without reporting to the front office. We're also in the process of adding guidance for school bus drivers and for school events that occur off campus. The department does have concerns about the term protected perimeter in the bill extending 1,000 feet beyond campus, as the department does not have jurisdiction beyond the school campus. Thank you for this opportunity to testify. We stand by for questions.
Thank you. University of Hawaii with comments.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Debbie Halbert, Vice President for Academic Strategy. We'll stand on our written testimony with comments, but I'm happy to answer questions if you have any. Thanks.
Thank you. The Hawaii State Commission on the Status of Women in support.
Good afternoon again, Yasmin Cheney for the Commission on the Status of Women. The Commission stands on its written testimony in support of this measure to ensure access to services and opportunities. We've had reports of gender-based violence victims not seeking services or evidence collection out of fear of immigration, and so we appreciate your consideration and support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. ACLU of Hawaii in support on Zoom.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Mandy Fernandez on behalf of the ACLU of Hawaii. We strongly support this measure. Under a Biden era piece of guidance, federal immigration enforcement was not conducted around some of these protected and sensitive locations like schools, hospitals, churches. This was repealed under the Trump administration, and at the state level, we can't impose that same guidance on federal agents. We can't guarantee that they're not going to show up at these sensitive community locations, but what we can do is what this measure is seeking to accomplish, and adding these like civil rights safeguards around these especially vulnerable locations. When you think about it, allowing unfettered access to non-private areas or non-public areas to federal immigration enforcement not only puts those who are seeking care at risk, at like a hospital, for example, but also forces our healthcare workers, our teachers to interface and navigate these really complicated and nuanced immigration statuses with the agents who have shown really aggressive tactics across the country. We can train our state-funded entities to require a judicial warrant rather than an administrative warrant to enter these areas, and do everything we can do at the state level to protect our residents and those seeking care. So we strongly hope that you pass this measure. We're available for any questions.
Thank you. The legal clinic in support.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members. I'm Tina Sablan here on behalf of the Legal Clinic and our board president, Amy Akbayani. TLC is a nonprofit that works for immigrant justice statewide through legal services, education, and advocacy. We did submit written testimony in strong support of this measure. We want to thank you for hearing this bill today. Restoring protections for sensitive locations like courthouses, like schools, is important to the legal clinic, to the immigrant families we serve, and to the many community organizations and agencies we work with. As to the 1,000-foot perimeter that's provided in this legislation, our reading is that this bill would limit state and county participation in civil immigration enforcement within that 1,000-foot perimeter. perimeter, and we support this provision as well. Limiting state and county participation in civil immigration enforcement and protecting access to essential services strengthens safety for everyone in Hawaii. We urge the committee to advance this measure.
Thank you. Hawaii Coalition for Immigrant Rights and Support on Zoom.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Aparna Petri. I am a private immigration attorney based in Maui and also the legal advisor for the Hawaii Coalition for Immigrant Rights, testifying in strong support of this measure. The institutions that are targeted in this measure need to be safe havens for people. They have to be places where children, patients, congregants, community members can access basic needs. For many years, the DOJ and the Department of Homeland Security had a policy that designated these locations as off limits. It is because that policy has been rescinded that this is now needed, and that we as a state have to step in and ensure that people can continue to access services without fear. We have seen enforcement in the state in schools, and we've seen enforcement on the continent in emergency rooms. So this is something that has been happening since this policy has been rescinded. This bill would provide clear statewide protections for schools, hospitals, healthcare facilities, places of worship, and would ensure that even though we cannot control what private actors do, even though we cannot control what the federal government does, we can control what state actors do and what state contractors do. No child should be afraid to go to school. No patient should hesitate to seek life-saving care. And for these reasons, we strongly urge you to support this measure. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Roots Reborn Maui in support on Zoom.
Hi, everyone. Buenas tardes to Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Veronica Mendoza. I'm the founding executive director of Roots Reborn here on Maui. I'm also a founding coalition member of El Pueblo en Acción Maui, which translates to the People in Action Maui. We stand on our written testimony. We work directly with the immigrant and migrant families who are still recovering from the 2023 wildfires and who are now navigating overlapping crises of housing, employment, and now most recently the fear of enforcement. EPA Maui is a rapid response network and community tip line that residents use to report possible immigration enforcement and ask for help. Both at Roots Reborn and at EPA Maui, our phones light up whenever someone thinks they may see immigration enforcement. More than half of those tips turn out to not involve any enforcement at all. They just happen to be parents who are dropping their kids off at school, workers who are out shopping, families who are attending services at local churches, who are afraid that any unfamiliar car or uniform feels like a threat. That constant fear undermines wildfire recovery, it undermines public health, and it certainly undermines community safety. So our community is living with a constant level of fear of enforcement, and it's shaping their everyday decisions about where they feel is safe to go. HB 1870 provides the guidance our communities need and limits state and county participation in civil immigration enforcement in or near community locations, requires a judicial warrant for access to non-public areas, safeguards personal information, and ensures staff are trained and communities are informed. It does not block lawful federal action. It clarifies state responsibilities and keeps essential public spaces safe, trusted, and accessible for all who call Hawaii home. We respectfully urge you to pass HB 1870. Y muchísimas gracias por la oportunidad.
Thank you. We have Samuel Mitchell in support on Zoom. Not present. Christine Andrews in support on Zoom.
Hi, committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'm Christine Andrews. I'm an attorney on Maui and a member of the EPA Maui Coalition as well. I just wanted to give my perspective as somebody who conducts Know Your Rights trainings statewide. I've spent a lot of time conducting kind of rapid response Know Your Right trainings for schools where enforcement activity has taken place statewide, and also at churches here on Maui where we have seen enforcement activity also take place. I feel like, as somebody who trains people on this, requiring a judicial warrant for non-public areas is kind of the minimum, I feel like, our Constitution and our conscience requires. We should be standing up and ensuring that people's constitutional rights are protected, and that includes not allowing access to non-public areas without a judicial warrant. And then as to the 1,000-meter perimeter, I know that is a concern, but also one of the things I teach people is that ICE will come, or federal agents will come. They know where they can, or what the optics are, but they often are in these areas. They come when children are being picked up at school because some people are getting out of their cars. They're not within a building. And so there's very vulnerable spaces, the areas around an emergency room. So we want to make sure that our community members feel safe for their children to go to school. We want to make sure people are feeling safe to get necessary health care. And these are the minimum, I feel like the requirements that we're trying to put into this bill to protect these areas are the minimum that we should be doing as a state for our members of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. That's everybody who indicated they would be joining us today. Additional testimony from the Office of the Public Defender in support. The Hawaii State Board of Education in support. 11 organizations and 44 individuals all in support. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Anybody on Zoom?
Members, questions on this measure? No? Nobody? All right, we're shy today. Okay, we're moving on to HB2140 HD2 relating to essential permitting positions.
We have the State of Hawaii Office of Planning and Sustainable Development with comments.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Diana Settis with the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development. We stand on a written testimony in support of the intent and offering comments, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Nobody else indicating they would be joining us today, but additional testimony in support from the City and County of Honolulu Department of Planning and Permitting, as well as comments from the City and County of Honolulu Department of Human Resources and Department of Budget and Fiscal Services. Additional 5 organizations and 1 individual also provide testimony in support. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Anybody on Zoom?
Thank you. Members, questions? Seeing none, we're going to move on to HB2468 HD1 relating to internship programs.
Department of the Attorney General with comments.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Todd, Vice Chair Takenouchi, and members of the committee. I am Deputy Attorney General Lawrence Sagai. With me is my supervisor, Leanne Yamashiro. Our department has provided comments with the proposed HD2. A key aspect of our testimony is clarifications of contracts with sponsors under the private sector internship program under Section 394-10. Sponsors can either be an employer who pays, trains, and supervises an intern, or they can be like a union, which functions more like a trade organization. Our suggested amendments clarify the 2 different contracts under this internship program. The first is with an employer. So if a sponsor is an employer, they should contract as such and receive reimbursement for an intern's wages for on-the-job training costs. The second is if they function more like a trade organization, then they should contract under subsection 394-10 subsection H by providing admin support to employers and helping with internship placements. Our testimony includes other suggestions to help clarify this bill. Thank you, and we're available for questions.
Thank you. Department of Labor and Industrial Relations with comments.
Good afternoon, Chair Todd, Madam Vice Chair Takenouchi, and members of the committee. I'm Jade Butai, Director of the Department of Labor and Industrial Relations. We stand on our testimony in support of the intent, provided it does not adversely impact the priorities identified in our supplemental budget requests. We appreciate the partnership with the legislature in refining the program and ensuring that it can effectively support the workforce development in Hawaii. Thank you.
Thank you. We have the Department of Human Resources Development in support.
Chair, Vice Chair, members, Brian Ferrito, Deputy Director, DHERD. We stand in support of this measure. We do ask for amendments, and so we ask for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Department of Education and Support.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Heidi Armstrong, Department of Education. We stand on our testimony and support. Thank you.
Thank you. University of Hawaii and Support.
Good afternoon. We'll stand on our testimony and support as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's everyone indicating they'd be joining us. Additional testimony and support from 3 organizations. Anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Anybody on Zoom?
Thank you. Members, questions? Seeing none, we're going to move on to HB2358 HD1 relating to retirement.
We have the Office of the Governor in support.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Will Kane, Office of the Governor. So we submitted our written testimony along with multiple amendments. I'd just like to highlight a couple things that the intent of the amendments that we're proposing for the HD or potential HD2, is essentially to provide parity among positions, to do 2 things. One is to provide parity among positions within the Department of Law Enforcement, which we need to strengthen so we can have stability, recruitment, and retention ability. And it does this by moving, certain members, investigators, and the director and deputy and these folks as Class A members of the ERS, and providing for the continuation of retirement eligibility and benefits for other members. In addition, it also extends these retirement eligibility and benefits to the fire marshal, the state fire marshal, the deputy fire marshals, the adjutant general for the state, deputy adjutant general, so that they can align with these roles. So folks that come from the county or vice versa, they're not losing benefits as they're moving into different positions. So we offer multiple amendments that are listed there, as well as removal of Section 2 in the previous HD1. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
Department of Law Enforcement in support.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. I'm Deputy Director Ernest Bello of the DLE. We stand in strong support of this bill, and we have submitted written testimony. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. The Employees Retirement System of the State of Hawaii in opposition.
Good afternoon, Chair, Chair members, Calvert Young for the Employee Retirement System. Submitted testimony. Our position is related to Section 2 of the bill and is in opposition. The ERS has consulted with External Tax Counsel. The Section 2 provision in this bill is significantly impactful in that while it may benefit each of you and only elected officials and your future use, it would come at the expense of the value and benefit and tax security of the employee retirement system for every single employee, retiree, and taxpayer in the state of Hawaii. So for that reason, the ERS, we have provided you some recommended language for amendments in the current statute that relates to this violation, and we're asking that the Section 2 provision you should strongly consider removing from the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. That is everyone who submitted testimony on this measure. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Anybody on Zoom?
Members, questions on this measure? Yeah, Repartio.
Thank you, Chair. For ERS. Thank you for your testimony. My question is, if the amendment is adopted, would that resolve the concerns regarding the tax issue?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. No further questions, Chair.
Right. Thank you. Anything else? If not, moving on to HB1688 HD1 relating to a general excise tax exemption for aircraft maintenance. Oh, my bad, I'm ahead of myself. HB1588 HD1 relating to the Department of Transportation.
Department of Transportation and support on Zoom.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Tammy, Deputy Director for the DOT. We stand on written testimony and strong support.
Thank you. That's everyone who indicated they would be joining us today. Additional 2 organizations and 6 individuals all in support. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Anybody on Zoom?
Members, questions? Rep. Kush?
Quick one for DOT. Chair.
Yep.
I forgot to address it.
I don't know the rules either. Don't worry about it.
Thanks for coming out. I'm just wondering, I know that last year we passed that pilot program and I see it rolling out in Waikiki. And are you sending out letters? Is it working? Any feedback from that?
So we installed 8 of the 10 of the pilot project. And right now, like you said, we're in our pilot phase where we're just collecting the data. Right now, we have it on our social media, where on our website where the cameras are located. And I do believe that we make it on the agenda to the neighborhood boards and socialize where the cameras are going to be during that time.
So you don't have any feedback yet? I'm not on social media much, and I'm not on any Waikiki boards, and I'm not sure if I have a placebo effect, but I swear it seems quieter. And so I'm just curious if you had any data feedback like that.
I know that we had just executed the contract and they just were installed. I know,
Okay.
I don't know that they're operational, but I'll get back to you. I know that 8 have been installed.
It's like fake cameras. It just keeps
No.
people safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
No further questions.
Members, anything else? Okay, if not, moving on to HB1688 HD1 relating to a general excise tax exemption for aircraft maintenance.
Okay, we have the Department of Taxation with comments.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. Gary Suvalo for Department of Taxation. We will stand on our written comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Tax Foundation of Hawaii with comments on Zoom.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Tom Yamachika from Tax Foundation. We will also stand on written comments and be available for questions.
Thank you. That's everyone who indicated they'd be joining us. Additional testimony in support from 2 organizations. Anybody else in the room wishing to testify?
Yeah, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Jacob Aki on behalf of Alaska Hawaiian Airlines. We did submit testimony. I think it was late, but we stand on our testimony in strong support and we'll be hearing folks have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we did receive it. Anybody else in the room? Anybody on Zoom?
Members, questions? Seeing none, we're going to move on to HB1986 HD2 relating to a clean fuel standard.
Department of Transportation and support.
DOT sends us written testimony and support.
Thank you. Island Energy Services with comments. Not present. Oh. And Pump Cleaner Fuels Hawaii in support on Zoom.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee will stand on our written testimony and are available for any questions if they come up.
Thank you. We have Theodore Metros in opposition on Zoom.
Sorry, I'm here in person.
Sorry.
Yes, I'm Ted Metros, independent. I used to work for PAR Hawaii, handled the renewable fuels program there. That program requires a 13% reduction on renewable fuels on transportation fuels. So this is a state program that's much, much bigger. It's trying to knock out 100% of our transportation fuels, what we have left. This is the finance group, so I want to talk a little bit money. This probably looks like a bureaucratic mess, and it is, but it can be real dollars that people have to appreciate the consequences of. I'm going to explain Hawaiian Airlines and Alaska Airlines Dream. They would like to have a credit for 300 million gallons worth of jet fuel being sustainable aviation fuel. They'd like that credit to be $1.50 per gallon. It'd be $450 million per year. And then on top of that, with this carbon fuel standard, what would happen, because they are not obligated under this particular program, they could go back and sell the credits and sell the value of sustainable aviation fuel for, let's say it's another $1. So that'd be in total $750 million. That's the dream. Now, even if it's scaled back from that, this is a big drawdown on the state's reserves. And so, the question I would have is, why are we letting the airlines off the hook? First off, this bill gives an exemption for interstate flights. If this was mandatory, then the requirements for the clean fuel standard would apply on flights, and they'd be obligated parties. And so the request that I have, this won't keep the admin people too late, one addition in here where it says fuel used by aircraft, fuel used by interstate aircraft, just like it says for marine aircraft, so they become obligated parties. And the other thing is, these clean fuel standards are supposed to be tax-free, but not if they're subsidized. And so these bills need to exclude cases where they're subsidized by the state. I don't know how you put that wording in there.
I'm gonna have to have you wrap up for the 2 minutes.
Well, this is really a big move here to characterize and capture interstate emissions and give an incentive, really where there shouldn't be one. And these limits that are proposed around the carbon intensity standards are way more stringent. They create so much confusion because they aren't even aligned with the existing standards under HRS 225P. So those should be struck, eliminated. They are unnecessary at this point.
Thank you. Members, that's everybody who indicated they would be joining us today. Additional testimony from the Climate Change Mitigation and Adaptation Commission in support, as well as 9 organizations and 1 individual in support, 2 additional organizations providing comments. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Anybody on Zoom?
Members, questions? Rep. Mielke?
Thank you, Chair. For DOT, please. Hi, Tammy. So this program will establish a credit and deficit system, correct? Would the policy, because of that, would that create like a new market where companies can profit from selling the credits, like what the previous test of America kind of?
Okay, so, really the clean fuel standard is really something that came out of our energy security and waste reduction plan. It is one strategy for to lower the emissions. Right now, we're doing a study on affordability. I've taken a look and I've reviewed the draft study. And really, that's what we're kind of focusing on, what it will cost for our communities with this credit or deficits. Currently, the report did not, focus on what you're inquiring on, Representative. So I don't think that is within the scope of our plan or part of the waste reduction plan. So I'll get back to you, but I don't think that it's part of the plan.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Anything else?
I'm good. I have a question. So has this been tried in other states, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
How effective have similar programs been in other states at reducing emissions without raising costs for residents?
My understanding, just from our review of our study, our draft study, is that it will increase costs. I know that California and Washington, they are states that have implemented. But I can tell you, it's in our testimony that we will have an increase in costs, and I'm not sure of those states, but I'm almost sure that I don't know. I have to get back to you.
Thank you.
Anything else? If not, we're going to move on to the next item. We have HB2030 relating to transportation affordability.
Department of Transportation in support.
Sorry, I have one contact on. Okay. The DOT stands under its written testimony, and I'm here for any questions.
Thank you. Department of Taxation with comments.
The department stands on its written comments.
Thank you. Hawaii State Energy Office in support.
I'm on Zoom. Chris Junker for the Hawaii State Energy Office. We stand on our written testimony in support and are available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Earth Justice in support.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Isaac Moriwaki, attorney with Earth Justice. And we stand on our testimony in strong support of this key solution for transportation affordability. It's a self-financing, self-funded, revenue-neutral rebate program for clean vehicles. We provided amendments attached to our testimony. First of all, suggestions on filling in the blanks for the fee provision based on Hawaii market analysis, based on Hawaii-based data, how we fund the proposed rebate amounts in the bill. And we thank Chairs Kila and Lowen for their refinements of this bill, and also Dr. Ramji, who did that Hawaii-based analysis. I believe he also submitted testimony and information, and I believe he's also available to answer questions. We also highlighted some technical amendments on terms, and so if you could draw your attention to that as well, and I'm available for any questions that members might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Alliance for Automobile Innovation in opposition.
Stand on our written testimony in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Hawaii Automobile Dealers Association in opposition. Not present. Chapin Fish in support on Zoom.
Hello, my name is Chapin. First, I just want to thank the chair, vice chair, and members of the committee for considering this bill and for the opportunity to testify on its behalf. My name is Chapin. I'm 22 years old, and I'm a young person from Portland, Oregon, and I'm really worried about climate change. And I'm here because the issue really knows no borders. As an intern at a local environmental nonprofit, I've had the privilege to advocate for the brave plaintiffs from the Navahine v. Hawaii Department of Transportation lawsuit and ensure that their historic settlement is complied with. Climate harms experienced by one of the plaintiffs in particular from Oahu demonstrate the critical need for this bill. I learned about her story, and she relies on an integral highway that connects her and her community to school and work and other necessities. But due to extreme weather, and that's something that we've all experienced across the country, the highway floods more and more frequently each year. When it closes, it robs them of their ability to go freely about their lives. The Clean Vehicle Rebate Program is an amazing opportunity to prevent the exacerbation of climate change, and it's something that the Navahine plaintiffs fought for in court. And also, it would do so in an affordable way for all families. I really think, having seen the bill, that it really centers equity, which I think is also important. Anyways, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate everything that you all are doing to stand with the youth, and I hope you continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. That's everyone who indicated they would be joining us today. Additional testimony in support from the Climate Change and Mitigation Adaptation Commission, support from the County of Kauai Office of Economic Development, City and County of Honolulu Office of Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resiliency, the Hawaii State Youth Commission, 8 organizations, and 25 individuals. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Anybody on Zoom?
Yes.
Okay, Tax Foundation of Hawaii first.
Okay, thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Tom Yamachika from Tax Foundation. We have a concern about the bill title. This is relating to transportation affordability, but the bill proposes a new tax. It puts it in Chapter 237, but it's still a new tax. We're also concerned about the financing mechanism. This calls for a special fund, but it's tax financed, and therefore it's not for self-sustaining activity. So those are our concerns. Sorry we weren't able to get a testimony put together in time. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next testifier on Zoom. Please just state your name for the record.
Aloha, my name is Ray Shin. I am with Our Children's Trust in strong support of HB 2030. Just want to highlight a few key points here. Compared to gas vehicles, owning and driving an electric vehicle saves residents thousands of dollars that they would have spent on gas and maintenance. With no remaining EV incentives in Hawaii, we need new ones to cut the upfront cost of EVs, which remain a key barrier for residents to access the significant savings of going electric. We want to support the amendments submitted by Earth Justice and suggest that if they can't go informally, that they get added to the committee reports as they're really strong amendments. And we want to highlight a few key affordability and equity components that were very intentionally designed into this bill. One is that the rebates completely exclude luxury electric vehicles and high-income individuals from receiving the rebate. There's an extra rebate amount for low and moderate income residents in Hawaii. And there's a threshold for the fee, meaning that it will be very, very easy and it'll exclude potentially half or more of all new vehicles from even incurring the fee. So it'd be very easy for residents to avoid it. And rebates are included for used EVs, making it more accessible for more residents, as well as for plug-in hybrids. The Navahine settlement in 2024 requires that the state of Hawaii achieve zero emissions in the transportation sector. It is a court-enforced settlement, so the legislature shares kuleana for meeting those obligations. So for all those reasons, we stand in strong support of this bill and we urge you to pass it. Mahalo.
Thank you. Anybody else on Zoom?
Members, questions? If not, moving on to HB2195 HD1 relating to transportation.
Department of Transportation in support.
DOT sends us written testimony support.
Thank you. Department of Taxation with comments.
Department stands on its written comments.
Thank you. Department of the Attorney General with comments.
Good afternoon, Chair Todd, Vice Chair Takanouchi, members of the committee. My name is Ryan Roylo, Deputy Attorney General. The department has submitted comments and I will be available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Tax Foundation of Hawaii with comments on Zoom.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Tom Yamachika for Tax Foundation. I understand what this bill is trying to do. We're trying to change this into a per passenger head tax, like the one that is currently administered by the Harbors Division, and to make it into basically a user fee. There are, I think, dangers with that. One being that the Harbor Special Fund, which is where this this new charge would go to, is subject to a central services assessment charge of 5%, which may be seen as a non-harbor use of the monies, and that may be enough to turn it into a tax, which would be vulnerable to a tonnage clause attack. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Hawaii Transportation Association with comments on Zoom. Not present. Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings in support on Zoom.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Aloha, this is Sandy Weir from Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings. I stand in support of this bill and stand on my testimony and am available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. The Maritime Group in support on Zoom. Not present. That's everyone who indicated they would be joining us today. Additional testimony in support from 11 organizations and comments from 2 organizations and support from another 11 organizations, opposition from 1 individual. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Anybody on Zoom?
Thank you. Members, questions? If not, we're going to move on to HB1949 HD1 relating to the green fee.
Okay, we have the Department of Land and Natural Resources in support.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Manu Tapasin DLNR. The department stands on its written testimony in support of this legislation and happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Office of Hawaiian Affairs in support on Zoom.
Aloha po. My name is Sharday Fridas, Public Policy Advocate with the Office of Foreign Affairs. We stand on our written testimony and are appreciative for the needed transparency that this bill and dashboard will provide. We urge the committee to pass this bill. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Office of Planning and Sustainable Development in support.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Danielle Bass, State Sustainability Coordinator with the Office of Plan and Sustainable Development. We offer testimony and strong support. We believe that this bill provides a lot of clarity and transparency necessary for the green fee, which is a brand new program that we're very excited about. We do recommend an amendment to allow the Department of Budget and Finance to administer the program and the dashboard, simply because the department is currently administering the green fee financing and has the necessary staffing to execute this program and dashboard. I'm available for any questions. Mahalo.
Thank you. The Green Fee Advisory Council in support.
Hello, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Carmela Rasuma, and I have the honor and pleasure of serving as a member of the Governor's Green Fee Advisory Council. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify today in strong support of HB 1949 HD1. Last year, the legislature took an important step by establishing Hawaii's green fee through Act 96, creating a dedicated funding source to support environmental stewardship, climate and hazard resilience, and sustainable tourism. We offer a deep mahalo to the legislature and governor for enacting this landmark paradigm-shifting legislation. Act 96 is a generational investment in protection of Hawaii's people, place, and natural and cultural resources, a monumental step forward toward a more balanced and responsible visitor economy. Given the Council's extensive criteria-based review that evaluated over 600 proposals from the community and produced this portfolio of projects, we respectfully recommend that the legislature appropriate the full green fee funding, and that as these funds begin to flow, it is equally important that the public can clearly see how they are being invested and what impact they're having across the Pai'aina. HB 1949 helps ensure that level of transparency and accountability by establishing a green fee transparency and accountability program and a public green fee resiliency impact dashboard that enables residents, policymakers, and stakeholders to track how green fee revenues are being used, demonstrates how revenue has been collected, where funds are going, which agencies are implementing projects, and what outcomes those investments are having, and improves the coordination across state agencies and community partners by creating clear reporting standards and a shared platform to track progress. A public dashboard helps the community to see progress over the long term and understand how these investments reduce risk, protect Hawaii's natural and cultural resources, and produce real environment for our environment and our communities. And for these reasons and so many more, I respectfully urge the committee to pass HB 1949. And mahalo for the testimony, for opportunity to provide testimony today, and your continued leadership in protecting Hawaii's environment and strengthening resilience for future generations. Mahalo.
Thank you. Ocean Legislative Task Force in support.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair.
Vice Chair. Oh,
Ready?
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Lauren online.
Thank you. My name is Lauren Book, and I'm a student at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. I'm majoring in environmental management. I'm representing the Ocean Legislative Task Force in support of our written testimony. So as a student technician at the Anuenue Sea Urchin Hatchery, I help breed sea urchins to clean up the macroalgae that's smothering coral reefs in Kaneohe Bay. I've seen how effective sustainable environmental projects can be, and I strongly feel that we should support full transparency in regards to where funds are going so that we can support conservation efforts in Hawaii. Mahalo.
Thank you. We have Kupu in support.
Hi, I'm Akako. Kuku. Stand on a written testimony of strong support. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Care for Aina Coalition Leadership Committee in support.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the Finance Committee. My name is Maka Gibson. I'm testifying on behalf of the Care for Aina Now Leadership Committee and in strong support of HB 1949 HD1. The green fee represents a commitment to Malama Aina, ensuring that those who benefit from Hawaii's natural beauty also help care for it. As this program begins, transparency and accountability will be essential to building community trust. HB 1949 helps ensure that residents, visitors, and lawmakers can clearly see where green fee revenues are going, how decisions are made, and what outcomes are being achieved for our Aina and our communities. Relatedly, we strongly affirm the Green Fee Advisory Council's spending recommendations, which reflect a thoughtful, community-informed approach to stewardship and resilience. In particular, we're excited to see the recommendations of $10.5 million for environmental stewardship projects, including aqua restoration and reforestation, and $1 million for climate resilience and hazard mitigation, including a pilot cesspool conversion project to restore our coral reefs. These investments support the community organizations and local stewards already caring for our island every day. With strong transparency and community partnerships, the Green Fee can deliver lasting benefits for Hawaii's people, places, and future. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Global Preservation Initiative in support.
Aloha, my name is Aaron McGee. I'm speaking in support of HB 1949. Now that the Green Fee is generating revenue, it's critical that we build a public dashboard to clearly track how these funds are used. I also believe state agencies should leverage the proven solutions of community organizations through contracts and grants when implementing these projects, because collaboration is what creates lasting impact. I'm the Executive Director of Global Preservation Initiative, which leads restoration efforts at Mauliola, or Sand Island State Recreation Area, as well as Makapu'u Beach Park. These public lands benefit from consistent community stewardship and are examples of successful partnerships between community organizations and government agencies such as DLNR and City and County. Our work at these sites fits several of the Green Fee funding recommendations. Clearing invasive plants helps the spread of these invasive species, reduces competition for resources with native plants, and prevents brush fire risk. Planting native plants improves groundwater recharge and improves native biodiversity. And removing litter and marine debris reduces risk to wildlife and beautifies our public spaces. I hope you will recognize the value of community organizations and commit to building transparency by passing HB 1949. Mahalo.
Thank you. That is everyone who indicated they would be joining us today. Members, additional testimony and support from 13 organizations and 7 individuals, as well as 1 individual in opposition. Is there anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Please come forward. If you could just state your name for the record before you begin.
Yeah, I'm testifying on behalf of Care for Aina Now's broader coalition. My name is Carissa Cabrera. We're testifying in strong support of 1949. We believe a transparency and accounting dashboard is a key element for a strong fund. This transformational act is informing other green fees, with Oregon passing their statewide green fee yesterday. I also want to elevate the importance of collaboration between agencies and community-based organizations. The project recommendations that were put forward by the Advisory Council were informed by over 600 proposals, and we strongly support the portfolio moving forward unamended. Mahalo.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Anybody on Zoom?
Thank you. Members, questions?
Good question.
Go ahead, Rep. Gideon.
Hawaii Climate Change Mitigation and Adaptation Commission. Hello again. Saeed, great idea, and fully support the dashboard and the transparency. Quick question on the financials. Could this be funded by the green fee itself instead of appropriations from the state?
I believe so. I mean, I think it's up to the legislature how want to allocate funds. But yeah, you're DLNR who submitted our testimony.
Okay, perfect.
I suppose there's nothing that would prevent that, but I think having a regular appropriation would ensure that the intent of the bill was carried out.
I'm in support of this. Just want to check the financials. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, if not, members, we do have an updated testimony packet for the items that were added on late to the agenda. You guys already access to that? You guys okay? Yes. Do we need to recess briefly, or are you guys okay on that? Everyone all right? All right. What? Yeah, okay. We're just basically gonna go bill by bill and just call up whoever wants to come up, and hopefully it looks organized. So we're gonna open up with HB2049 HD2 relating to renewable fuel. Whoever would like to open us up. Let's go with DOE tax first, and then we'll get to industry. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Yeah,
I wasn't aware that this was gonna be called until I was already here, so I don't have my materials with me.
Okay.
I did consult with my office over my phone, so my understanding is we did submit testimony on the HD1 version. And my understanding is that there are a couple of suggested edits that were not incorporated. So I just wanted to reiterate that we're not able to administer the aggregate cap. And then also the effective date, I think we wanted to make it applicable to tax years after December 31, 2026. I just wanted to get that on the record.
Okay, thank you.
Mark Inoy from Par Hawaii. Par Hawaii stands on our written testimony in support of HB 1695 HD1. We really appreciate folks taking a look at this bill. I'll be here for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wanting to speak on this matter? Go ahead.
Yes, hi, I'm Ted Metros. I used to be with Par Hawaii. I complained about the tax practices there. This bill would be providing a reward to a company who has been under allegations for tax evasion in the foreign trade zone. It would benefit foreign trade zone operations. The bill is potentially quite robust, and it is not what it is couched out to be, an agricultural bill or an energy security bill. This bill gives maybe at best $125 per acre. You're not going to get people producing for $125 an acre in Hawaii. It's been scaled way back from what the expectations were, 100,000 acres down to 25,000 acres. And you can barely make any fuel here in Hawaii. People have understood that for a long time. We've got to get realistic about it. And so really this is just a return to very few number of producers that make renewable fuels. This bill doesn't even open it up to importers. And we know we're going to have to import for sustainable aviation fuel. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in person? Okay. Mr. Aki.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, Vice Chair, members, Jacob Aki on behalf of Alaska Hawaiian Airlines. We stand in strong support of this bill, and we did submit written comments. One thing that we did want to highlight about this bill is that for us as a company, as Hawaii's hometown airline, as well as for the broader aviation industry, we support all bills and all proposed policies that look at how do we incentivize SAF. With the Navahina settlement, with the state's energy goals, we recognize that the aviation industry is one of the largest carbon polluters in the transportation industry. And mechanisms to promote and to incentivize the production and use of SAF is something that we are very supportive of. I know some of the previous comments that have been made about this bill and about some of the other bills is that this is a handout to the airline. Part of my comments here today is to make it clear that the airline does not receive any of these tax incentives. And even though we don't receive any of these tax incentives, we're still in strong support of the producers who would be able to produce SAF. If the state is serious about hitting its energy goals and hitting some of these things, SAF is going to play a major component. And as we know in our testimony, similar to what other states have done, they provided tax incentives which have then spurred outside interest to then come in and to invest in this industry here. What this bill does also is provides an opportunity for local ag producers, via cover crops, which is what is being looked at to also home grow some of this fuel. So we're in strong support of any bill that looks to incentivize SAF, and we are here to answer any questions that you folks might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in person? Go ahead.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Nahalani Parsons here on behalf of the Hawaii Renewable Fuels Coalition, testifying in strong support. And I'll keep my comments short just to clarify that the administration or certificate is would be determined by HSEO, and they would do the proofing and the sort of verifying, and then they would submit that paperwork to DOTAX. So we're in strong support of this measure and available if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in person? Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Brian Miyamoto here on behalf of the Hawaii Farm Bureau. I'll try to do my best. I don't have my binder in front of me, so I'm going to adopt 21st century technology.
You're looking like a millennial already. We're excited. We're excited.
On the lower end of the millennial. We've submitted testimony in support, and we've supported this effort in the past. And real briefly, Hawaii Farm Bureau, we support agriculture, and we consider agriculture food, feed, fiber, fuel, and floriculture. And again, the opportunities with SAF and renewable fuels for an additional crop, a potential new market for our farmers as a possible cover crop using camelina or whatever else they may come up with is exciting for us. And again, we support all agriculture. We know we need all of agriculture. We've taken a position in the past that we support the state's goal for renewable energy. And so we believe this could be a good nexus. And we know there's some pilots going on and some trials going on. Again, we support any effort to create new markets and as a cover crop that can help with soil remediation, help with some invasive species issues. We were just at another hearing when Dole was talking about their rotations for their pineapple, and they fallow some of the land. Again, there are opportunities out there, and we think any incentive that can incentivize our farmers, we will support. So again, thank you for the opportunity to testify and to pretend that I am a millennial. Thank you.
Good work, good work. Okay. Anyone else? Is there anyone on Zoom who would like to provide testimony in this measure? Okay, we're gonna move on to, actually, members' questions on this item? No, moving on to HB1950 HD1 relating to the transient accommodations tax. Same story. Is there anyone in person who'd like to testify on this measure? Yeah, if not, Mr. McClellan, you're here for 1950.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. We stand mostly on our written testimony in support of HB 1950 and happy to offer any perspectives on behalf of the American Hotel and Lodging Association and our policy partners at the Hawaii Hotel Alliance if you so wish. Mahalo for your time.
We couldn't hear much of that. We're gonna try to get the volume up. Yeah, okay, go for it though. Let's see how it goes.
Can you hear me now, Chair?
That's better.
Awesome. Okay, Koa McClellan on behalf of the American Hotel and Lodging Association and our policy partners, the Hawaii Hotel Alliance, in strong support of HB 1950. Happy to provide any comments that answer any questions regarding the industry support for this critical measure as it relates to promoting our industry, our state's largest industry, and we just appreciate your time today.
Great, thank you. And just in case you guys couldn't hear that, basically just reiterating and standing on testimony. It is in our testimony packet. If you wanted to take a look at that. All right, thank you very much. Is there anyone in person or anyone else on Zoom who would like to testify? Anyone on Zoom? No? Okay, thank you very much. Members, questions on this item? Seeing none, we're moving on to HB2094 HD1 relating to jury duty. I don't think we have any testimony in our packet for this, but is there anyone in person who'd like to testify on this measure? Seeing none, I believe we have someone queued up from the judiciary on Zoom.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Michelle Acosta here on behalf of the judiciary. This is part of the judiciary's legislative package, and we strongly support it. Available for any questions if anybody has any. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else available on Zoom? I don't think so, right? Okay. Any questions, members? If not, we're going to move on to the, not the last, it's the last on the page. All right, HB, I don't know, it's late. HB2115 HD1 relating to human services. Is there anyone in person who'd like to testify? Okay, please proceed.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Hannah Lisiak, and I'm testifying on behalf of the True Cost Coalition in strong support of this measure. This measure appropriates funds to the Department of Human Services for community-based nonprofit organizations and contracts through that department. Out of our 80+ community-based nonprofit organizations, a number of them have governmental contracts that haven't seen increases in over 10 years. Our coalition alone serves 500,000 plus residents statewide every single year. So you could say, that our coalition serves as the safety net of Hawaii. We deeply appreciate the funding that was provided in Act 310 last fall But to be quite frank, and something that I want to make clear is that the federal funding cuts did not create a new problem. They exacerbated an old one. So we want to thank you for hearing this measure, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in person? Seeing none, do we have anyone on Zoom? No? If not, we do have a number of pieces of testimony in our testimony packet from Parents and Children Together, from the Institute for Human Services, from Catholic Charities, Child and Family Service, United Way, and from the True Cost Coalition, and from an individual in support. Members, any questions on this item? If not, thank you very much. We're going to move on to our last page. We have HB2297 HD1 relating to education. I don't think we have anything submitted online, but is there anyone in person who'd like to testify on this measure?
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Heidi Armstrong, Department of Education. The department stands in support of this bill. It is part of our administrative package, and this bill updates the language of Section 302A-433 Hawaii Revised Statutes to align with the federal Adult Education and Family Literacy Act requirements. We're available for any questions. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
All right, thank you. Anyone else in person? Go ahead.
Helen Sanke, Principal, McKinley Community School for Adults. We stand in strong support of this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone on Zoom available to testify on this measure? No? Okay, members, do we have any questions? If not, we're going to go on to HB2336 HD1 relating to federal military installations, an ominous title for Department of Transportation bill. Do we have the department in person? Please proceed.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. This bill is part of our admin package. And you're right, it is kind of unusual that we would be involved in doing improvements to military installations. But what it really does is it brings in more federal dollars to the state. It provides for, several years ago, we started this kind of innovative way of contracting with this IDIQ method, or indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. So we're really able to move very quickly on maintenance type projects like pavement improvements to the roadway, pavement improvements to airfield, striping, signage on these installations. Like I said, some of the other benefits for the state is it provides jobs for contractors that are involved in trades. I'm here for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else on this measure? Anyone on Zoom? If not, members, questions on HB2336 HD1, Rep. Hartsfield?
Thank you, Chair, for DOT. I'm trying to better explain this bill. So can you share with us some examples of projects that DOT would do on these federal military installations?
Right, so exactly. If there's a DoD installation that has an airfield, we would be able to quickly get our IDIQ contractor to mobilize to do any kind of maintenance, whether it's pavement repairs, any kind of striping related to that, any kind of guardrail repairs. And I forgot to mention one more thing. What we would get in return is 10% of all of the invoices that are sent to our contractors, and that's just supposed to be provided as an administrative fee. Another example is a military installation. Maybe it's Joint Base Pearl Harbor, and they have a roadway that needs some maintenance. We would have our contractors, through these military agreements, our contractors go out and do pavement repairs or any other repairs as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, thank you. Moving on to the actual last item, we have HB2416 HD1 relating to a Maritime Youth Apprenticeship Pathway Program. I don't believe we have any testimony in our packet, but is there anyone who'd like to testify at the chamber?
Yes, chamber stands on written testimony, and we will submit testimony.
All good. Thank you very much. Anyone else in person? If not, anyone on Zoom? Members, do we have any questions on this item? If not, we're going to recess and we'll reconvene for decision making gotta briefly consult with someone, and then have a couple of people show up for vote. All right, recess. Aloha everyone, we're convening for decision making on our 2 p.m. Thursday, March 5th agenda here in conference room 308 with the Committee on Finance. Opening up with HB1977 HD1 relating to health. Recommendation is to move as is. Are there questions or comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB1977 HD1 recommendations to pass unamended. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Hartsfield.
Aye.
Representative Hussey.
Aye.
Representative Kale Kapuliloi. Aye. Representative Kitagawa.
Aye.
Representative Kush.
Aye.
Representative Lee.
Aye.
Representative Miyake.
Aye.
Representative Morikawa. Aye. Representative Peruso is excused. Representative Temple.
Aye.
Representative Yamashita.
Aye.
Representative Alcos.
Aye.
Representative Gideon.
Aye.
Representative Reyes Oda.
Aye.
Recommendation adopted.
Thank you. HB1764 HD1 relating to the Music Accessibility Pilot Program. Recommendation to move as is. Questions or comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB1764 HD1 recommendations to pass unamended, noting the excused absence of Representative Peruso, who will be noted as excused for the remainder of this agenda unless otherwise announced. Are there any reservations? Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. HB1934 HD1 relating to libraries. Recommendation to move as is. Questions or comments? Seeing none.
HB1934 HD1 recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations? Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. HB2533 HD1 relating to education. Recommendation to move as is. Questions, comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB2533 HD1 recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations? Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
HB1790 HD2 relating to policing. Recommendation to move as is. Questions, comments? Seeing none.
HB1790 HD2 recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations? Reservations for Reps Alcos and Gideon. Any other reservations? Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. HB2181 HD1 relating to the judiciary. Recommendation to move as is. Any questions, comments? Seeing none.
HB2181 HD1 recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations? Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
For HB1870 HD2 relating to protected community locations. Recommendation to move as is. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB1870 HD2 recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations?
Reservations.
Reservations for Rep. Reyes Oda.
I'm a no.
Sorry, and reservations for Rep. Reyes Oda. Nobody else, and no votes for Reps Alcos and Gideon. Any other no votes? Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. Moving on to HB2140 HD2 relating to essential permitting positions. Recommendation to move as is. Questions? Comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB2140 HD2 recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations? Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. For HB2468 HD1 relating to internship programs. Recommendation will be to move as is. I just want to note, we're not going to include in the committee report, but there are some concerns from the Attorney General. We don't quite have the time as we're up against the deadline to address them, but you know, there's some good suggested amendments in there that can be taken up to clean some stuff up. Recommendation to move as is. Questions or comments? Seeing none.
HB2468 HD1 recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations? Reservations for Rep. Hartsfield. Any other reservations? Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
Okay, thank you. Next we have HB2358 HD1. The recommendation will be to move this forward as an HD2. We have some technical amendments, and we also like to adopt the suggested amendments provided by the Governor's Office. This is relating to retirement, partly to address the concerns of the ERS. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB2358 HD1 recommendation is to pass with amendments. Any reservations?
Reservations.
Reservations for Rep. Alcos and Rep. Gideon.
No, me.
Oh, and sorry, reservations for Rep. Alcos and Reyes Oda. Any no votes? No vote for Rep. Gideon?
No, he said
Reservations.
And reservations. Okay. Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
Thank you. On HB1588 HD1 relating to the Department of Transportation, recommendation to move as is. Questions or comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB1588 HD1 recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations?
Reservations.
Reservations for Rep. Alcos Any other reservations? Any no votes? Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. For HB 1688 HD1 relating to a general excise tax exemption for aircraft maintenance, recommendation to move as is. Questions or comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB 1688 HD1, recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations? Any no votes? Recommendation is adopted.
HB 1986 HD2 relating to a clean fuel standard. The recommendation would be to move this as is. I think this is another one of those kind of big picture things that has a lot of moving parts, and we have to address some of the concerns about cost increases, but hopefully that the conversation continues in the Senate. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair? Oh, sorry, as is, yes.
HB 1986 HD2, recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations?
Reservations.
Reservations for Rep. Alcos, Miyake, Gideon, Kelkapuliloy. Any other reservations?
Sorry.
Hartsfield. Any other reservations? Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
Similarly, for HB 2030 HD2 relating to transportation affordability, there's merit to the concept, and the hope would be that after crossover, they can flesh some of this out and maybe find something that'll work out and avoid passing on costs to people who maybe we shouldn't be passing it on to. But it's a good conversation starter. Recommendation would be to move as is. Questions, comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB 2030 HD2, recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations? Reservations for Rep. Gideon and Alcos. Any other reservations? Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
For HB 2195 HD1, we're gonna recommend that this moves as is. This is another one of those things where things are a little bit in flux with a lawsuit on a newly implemented tax on the cruise ships, on the green fees. I think it's important that we have some sort of vehicle alive, should we get more information on that suit through the course of session. So the recommendation would be to move this forward as is. Questions or comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB 2195 HD1, recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations? Reservations for Rep. Gideon. Any other reservations? Any no votes?
No.
No vote for Rep. Alcos. Okay, recommendations adopted.
For HB 1949 HD1 relating to the green fee, I would tend to agree that the green fee dashboard should probably be funded by the green fee. But again, we're gonna keep things moving. For what it's worth, the green fee budget is basically just going to be part of the budget. But when we do go over the budget bill, we will be flagging those additions to the budget. So there will be transparency, and it'll be read out, and it will be visible in that way. And I think there's some funding in there for project tracking, and we're trying to work on a solution within that proposal. But recommendation for now would be to move it forward as is. Questions or comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB 1949 HD1, recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations? Any no votes? No vote for Rep. Alcos. Any other no votes? Recommendations adopted.
HB 1695 HD2, similar to some of these other things, I think there's value in the conversation and working out how we would potentially subsidize something like this. The recommendation would be to move it forward as is, but given our current fiscal challenges, I think it's a really, really tough ask for the state to step into something like this, particularly for private industry in a year where we're going to be asking a lot of people. So there are some concerns, but I think it's a valuable conversation that we need to keep alive in the Senate. Recommendation to move as is. Questions, comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB 1695 HD2, recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations? Reservations for Rep. Alcos, Hartsfield, Reyes Oda. Any other reservations? Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
On HB 1950 HD1 relating to the transient accommodations tax, recommendation to move as is. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB 1950 HD1, recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations? Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
HB 2094 HD1 relating to jury duty, recommendation to move as is. Questions, comments? No.
HB 2094 HD1, recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations? Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
For HB 2115 HD1 relating to human services, and I've shared these concerns with others, including with the administration, but I don't really think it's the legislature's role to be stepping into these contracting concerns. However, again, I think there's value in continuing to bring attention to the fact that many of these organizations have seen dramatic increase in their costs, but not in their contract values. So the plan would be to move this forward as is, but I will be continuing with the administration so that we can find a kind of better way to approach this down the road. Recommendation to move as is. Questions or comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB2115 HD1, recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations? Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
HB2297 HD1 relating to education. Recommendation to move as is. Questions or comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB2297 HD1, recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations? Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
HB2336 HD1 relating to federal military installations. Recommendation to move as is. Questions or comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair. Oh, sorry. Oh, we good?
If you'd like to discuss any specific details.
Going.
HB2336 HD1, recommendations to pass unamended. Any reservations? Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
Heard your voice.
HB2416 HD1 relating to a maritime youth apprenticeship pathway program. Recommendation to move as is. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, Vice Chair.
HB2416 HD1, recommendations pass unamended. Any reservations? Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
Okay, we're back to HB2049 HD2 relating to housing, which we previously taken up on a prior agenda. I'm gonna read through this as concisely as I can, and we do have Chair Evslin here in case anyone has any technical questions, or if I mess this up. Okay, here's the proposed HD3, which is in front of you. One thing to note off the top, ag and commercial rates would see no change under the draft proposal. Is that accurate? Yes. Okay, solid. Okay, here we have, let's say, 4 major amendments. First amendment is we're going to update the tax rates in section 3 for owner-occupied residential rates. On page 7, in paragraph 1A, we're inserting 10 cents into the blank rate for properties with a value of less than $600,000. From there are a series of marginal increases as property values scale up, leading to the deletion of paragraphs 1G and 1H in their entirety and replacing them with a new paragraph 1G to read, for properties with a value of at least 10 million, it would be 378,000 plus 625 per $100 of excess over 10 million. So that's that chart. In paragraph 2, non-owner occupant residential rates. Paragraph 2A, inserting 15 cents into the blank rate for properties with a value of less than 600,000. From there would be marginal increases as property values scale up, leading to the deletion of paragraphs 2G and 2H in their entirety and replacing them with a new paragraph 2G to read, for properties with a value of at least $10,639,400 plus $9.50 per $100 of excess over 10 million. Okay, that's the adjustable kind of. Next, we have the second amendment. We're going to be adding a tax cap. Because this has marginal growth rates, if there's no cap, then things can get out of hand. There'll be a new tax cap in a new subsection as part of 247-2. On page 13, you'll find that in section 3, there is a new subsection C to read, notwithstanding subsection A, the total conveyance tax imposed on the sale of a parcel shall not exceed 1, 4% of the actual and full consideration for the conveyance if the purchaser is eligible for a county's homeowner exemption from a property tax with respect to that parcel, or 2, 6% of the actual and full consideration from the conveyance if the purchaser is ineligible for a county homeowner's exemption from property tax with respect to that parcel. For the conveyance of a multifamily residential property as defined in subsection A, the cap under the subsection shall be applied on a per unit basis, calculated by dividing the actual and full consideration by the number of residential dwelling units, and the total total tax imposed on the conveyance shall not exceed the applicable per unit cap multiplied by the number of residential dwelling units. If you need that explained, we have Rep. Evslin here in a bit. Okay, third amendment. We'll be replacing the Hawaiian Homeland's Trust Fund allocation with a new Department of Hawaiian Homeland Special Fund in Chapter 26, amending 247-7 and add a new section. It'll effectively say that monies in the special fund shall be used by the Department of Hawaiian Homelands for multi-year planning, procurement, and sequencing of infrastructure and housing to deliver homes to beneficiaries of the Hawaiian Homelands program, and to leverage additional public and private capital for that purpose. The special fund has a blank appropriation, which would then establish an expenditure ceiling. The fourth amendment, for non-residential rates, we'd fill in blanks in 247-2 A3 with current statute rates from 247-2 A1. What that means. In section 3, we're amending 247-2A3. The rates for the sale, lease, sublease, or assignment of any property with no residential dwelling unit. In paragraph 3A, we're inserting 10 cents per $100 for properties with a value less than $600,000. From there, there'd be marginal increases as property values scale up until paragraph 3G, inserting $1 per $100 for properties with a value of at least 10 million. Okay, altogether, here is the big picture for your consideration. Due to its marginal structure, this bill would avoid pitfalls like tax cliffs that are seen in other jurisdictions. This draft would place our conveyance tax significantly lower than most other states, but bring us up to parity with other high valuation areas on luxury and non-owner occupant properties valued in the millions. This bill's rates are indexed to inflation going forward so that median priced homes will not find themselves in an unfavorable tax situation in future years. The HD3 has language that will prevent multi-unit developments from being penalized and instead treat them on a per unit valuation basis. In addition to increased funding for preservation and housing initiatives, the bill allocates what would be the most significant recurring funding for the Department of Hawaiian Homelands in state history, setting a target of $60 million per year when we've been calculating this. This means dependable revenue, which will allow the department to plan ahead and pursue their efforts to reduce and eventually completely erase the wait list. And finally, the proposed HD3 would also be a significant net positive for general fund revenues, which could potentially provide us with flexibility towards the end of session to maintain a larger portion of the Act 46 income tax cuts for working class families. There's a lot of moving parts, but that's part of the big picture implication. How'd I do? Fair? Perfect. Oh, solid. Do we have any questions? Rep Kush.
For Rep Epsilon, just for consideration as it moves along, I was thinking about the 5-unit minimum for apartments. That helps larger scale and maybe institutional landlords, but hurts mom and pop operations, and maybe something to the consideration of multi-duplex, triplex, fourplex be included if the units are of the same size or similar. You know, like clearly for somehow putting in statute that they're clearly like rentals, like a fourplex of 2 ones versus a 4,000 square foot mansion and a 600 square foot, caretaker house, and just that swirl around in your head.
I appreciate the suggestion. The 5 units DOTAX will be doing the unit calculation. We wanted to ensure that they weren't having to do a calculation on, to limit the number of times having to do this calculation and to try and ensure that this was going to true rental units. And the other idea with the 5-unit thing was to ensure that somebody couldn't just as you said, maybe add, you have a multi-million-dollar property, you add a single unit and you get a significant conveyance tax reduction because of it. So it's sort of to avoid abuse that way by putting a threshold in there. I hear you, and I hadn't actually, considered the idea of maybe we can do something like 3 units. I think what you're saying could be hard. I think we want to ensure that we have DOTAX doing as little work as possible on these. We don't want them looking at square footage and comparing that. We want to just do a straight unit count. But I think there could be something, up for consideration as this crosses over to do a 3-unit threshold instead of a 5-unit threshold.
Food for thought.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else?
Sure, I'll be just going reservations on this. Just want to do a little bit more deep dive into.
Understandable. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, Rep Kitagawa.
Thank you so much for all this work. I think, this is great, all the details. I'm just looking at the numbers and I know this is the start and the beginning of this conversation, but I would like us to potentially look at increasing the home price at where we start increasing them out with the cost of living in Hawaii and just the skyrocketing home prices. There are, I think in all of our districts, homes that are very old. They are not renovated, but they maybe have a valuation of over 2 million. And I really don't want to see those community members negatively impacted by these changes, just because of the price of homes in Hawaii has gone up so much. So I know this is a starting point, but if we can kind of look at maybe, how do we minimize the impact on local
local families that have been here for a long time but may eventually want to sell or transfer their home to their kids or whatever it might be, right? I don't want to see that negative impact. So I know this is the beginning, but thanks for that work.
Great.
Comment.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and similarly to Kitagawa, there was a point in time where because there was no housing stock, people were paying over ask, which would create the comparables around them to drive up the cost for all the properties, when to the point they weren't of that much value, it was just desperate. I share that because we saw that happen in Waimea, where a number of very, very wealthy individuals bought up a particular area and just drove up housing prices in that area. And so they were older homes, probably valued at somewhere between $300,000 and $400,000, which are now at $1 million just because of the numbers. Something to consider.
Rep. Yamashita, do you have anything?
Yeah, in general, I think, you know, I know this is in large part trying to look at generating revenue, and I just think, as far as a long-term solution, it should be, you know, property taxes on this. And then, and I know that's harder and longer, and that's why we're coming up with things. So that's just a general statement. But then, but also in here, the legislature has always been cautious and reluctant to put any kind of CPI adjustment into legislation, because it's just the legislature should always have that that authority to adjust in the future based upon future unforeseen situations. So those are just comments, and I'll be in support for further discussion.
Okay. Anyone else? Rep. Gideon?
Just want to thank the rep for the hard work you did on this, and thank you for breaking it down. I support fulfilling the state's commitments to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands and appreciate the marginal tax reform, middle class relief. I'm gonna go WR just because it is a tax increase, but yeah, I want to see where it goes. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, well, we can all be better educated at what I assume will be a 20-minute speech on the floor costs. But I appreciate all of your energy on this, and this has taken a ton of time and literally months and months of kind of grinding out, trying to find an optimal solution. So just appreciate you and all of your efforts. Thank you for your patience on that. I think we're ready to vote. Vice Chair?
HB2049 HD2, recommendations to pass with amendments noting reservations for Reps. Alcos and Gideon. Any other reservations?
Reservations.
Reservations for this Oda. Any other reservations? Any no votes? Recommendations adopted.
Okay, thank you. We
Chair,
are.
I have another reservations, couple votes in the beginning. Can I go back on those?
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, but on the floor, we'll do your thing. You'll be all right. Okay. Thank you, and we are adjourned.